Hello, my beautiful friend. It's Betsy Gutting. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Let's talk about the Mars retrograde in Gemini. Mars goes retrograde every 2 years. Mars is our mojo. It's our desire. It's our drive. It's our motivation. It's the masculine principle within all of us, meaning that part of us that wants to go out into the world and create, accomplish, achieve, whatever it is our hearts most desire. So when it goes retrograde, there's a pulling inward. The energy changes. So in this video, I want to talk with you about what this means for you, how you can work with these energies, especially in the sign of Gemini, because the sign that the retrograde is happening in flavor the themes and what we're going to be working with when it is retrograde. I also want to give you some tips for working with these energies. I have some messages from Spirit that I want to share with you, and I want to share with you a story about a Mars retrograde that I will always remember from 2018 and hopefully empower you in the process so that if you come up against any Mars retrograde challenges this time around, you'll be able to move through them with more ease and grace, at least to know that you are not alone and that this is all happening for our soul growth. And in this video, I will also be doing readings for all 12 signs. Listen to your rising sign, because your rising sign is the area of life in which this Mars retrograde in Gemini is happening for you. Before you jump to your rising sign, make sure you listen to the beginning of this video where I talk about Mars energy in Gemini, where I talk about some of the themes you'll be navigating and share with you how you can best work with these energies. So before I get into it, I want to say hi if you're new to me. I am an intuitive life coach as well as a psychic astrologer, and I love to help you crystallize a vision for your life, to take your heart's desire and bring it out into the world, to move through any challenges, whether they be relationships, work, career, health, finances, anything that you're going through. And we can do this through an astrology consultation, or through soul alchemy coaching, or through a one-off clarity coaching session. So go to my website if you're looking for support, if you'd like to have an astrology reading, if you'd like to know what your planets say about you, your gifts, your talents, your abilities, your potential, as well as the current transits and the future transits that are coming up, and how they will be leading you forward, empowering you into your next chapter or your brand new life, if that's what's happening for you. Also, I have a free gift for you. My free gift I will tell you about at the end of this video, so be sure to stay tuned till the end so I can tell you about what it is and how to get it. And I love connecting with you. It is my absolute joy to meet you here through YouTube. Let me know where you're tuning in from, whatever you'd like to share. It's so much fun to meet you virtually in this way. Thank you so much for taking a moment to give this video a thumbs up, to like the video, to subscribe to my channel. You really help me when you subscribe. It lets this video go out to more people who love astrology. And leave me a comment. Let me know if anything in this video resonates for you. Okay, so let's talk about Mars retrograde in Gemini. First of all, Mars will be in Gemini between August 20th of 2022 to March 25th of 2023. 7 months. Normally, Mars transits a sign in 6 weeks. 6 weeks. So this is a huge span of time, relatively speaking. And I'm laughing to myself. I don't know if you can hear, but there are all these cars. They sound like they're racing. There's like all this engine revving going on. And to me, this is so Mars. You know, this is that rev your engine, show your machismo. It's like so Mars. So let me break down the dates for you so you know what to expect. Mars will enter Gemini on August 20th. It will be in its pre-shadow period, where we often get a foreshadowing of whatever it is we're going to be working with during the retrograde. It will be in its pre-shadow period beginning on September 3rd of 2022. It will go retrograde October 30th of 2022, and it will go at 25 degrees, and it will go direct at 8 degrees of Gemini on January 13th. Then it will retrace its steps between 8 degrees and 20 5 degrees of Gemini until March 15th, and then it will leave Gemini completely and go into Cancer on March 25th, 2023. So if you have planets or points in your natal astrology chart between 6 and 28 degrees of Gemini, 6 and 28 degrees of Gemini, or the other mutable signs of Sagittarius, Pisces, or Virgo, you will experience this Mars retrograde in Gemini more personally, more intensely. Now, this is not the first time that we are working intimately with Gemini energy. We have been working intimately with Gemini energy over the past few years, since 2020. In 2020, Venus was retrograde in Gemini. Then in 2022, Mercury was retrograde in Gemini. So we've already been working on refining the edges of our diamond selves as they relate to Gemini energies quite a bit. Now let's talk for a moment about Mars energy and Gemini energy, beginning with Mars. Mars is our vitality. It's our get up and go. It's our mojo. It's our drive. Mars is also our physical body. So during a Mars retrograde, we can have health issues come up. We often feel less energetic. Maybe you're like a hiker or an avid, you love exercise, you love moving your energy, and you just feel like you want more couch time during a Mars retrograde, or it can affect your drive, especially regarding work and career. In the big picture, what Mars wants to do is help us to tune into what we really desire, our true desires. And if you're used to kind of being on automatic pilot and pushing, being as productive as you can, kind of like I call it being a machine, like being a machine where you're like, sometimes it's very energizing and it really revs you up and you're like, wow, I got so much done today. I'm a machine. You could feel really, really like you could feel really accomplished as a result of it. But a Mars retrograde wants us to do kind of a check-in with ourselves, to check in and see, is this still what I want? Is this still fulfilling to me? Is this still good for me? Mars energy also is connected to anger, our own ability to express our anger and release our anger in healthy ways versus repressing it and stuffing it, suppressing it so that it can affect our health in negative ways. Often during a Mars retrograde, some hidden truth will become apparent, something that we have not been aware of, something in our subconscious. So it's really a gift. Mars retrograde is always, like all retrogrades, are always a period of time when we can receive an illumination, an aha moment, or realization, a gift about something that we need to clear out in order to feel more vital, more alive, more on track, more on purpose, happier, more fulfilled. Now let's talk about Gemini energy for a moment. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is the winged messenger. Gemini is considered a dual sign. It represents duality. It has 1 foot in the physical world and 1 foot in the metaphysical world. It's like the 3D and the 5D. Gemini is also seen as the twins. It's also seen as the lovers. It's the lovers card in the tarot. And the Lover's card is about a head over heart decision. So often in Gemini energy, we have challenges making decisions. Our head says one thing and our heart says another thing. We can get stuck in our intellect. We can get into analysis paralysis. We can try to, Gemini is very detail oriented. And I have, by the way, I'm speaking from experience because I have my Sun, my Mercury, and my Venus all in Gemini. I have a stellium in Gemini in the 12th house. And the 12th house is the subconscious mind. So my Mercury, for example, can get stuck with how do I communicate this? What do I want to say? There's so much to say. In Gemini, we often feel like we have an overload of information and we want to get it all out. We want to share it all. Because of the enthusiasm of it. Gemini loves to share. Gemini is the storyteller, so you may have during this time information that you want to share with others, information that you get really excited and inspired to share. This could be a very inspiring time. You could have all kinds of light bulb moments saying, learn this, study this, explore this. It's a very exploratory sign. It's a It's a sign where we want to give our inner child the freedom, because Gemini is all about freedom, all about freedom. You want to give yourself the freedom to explore anything new that is calling to your heart. Gemini is also connected to social media, to all media. It's considered the information sign. Going back to the retrogrades I mentioned earlier in Gemini that we've already had, the Venus retrograde in 2020, the Mercury retrograde May and June of 2022, we've had kind of this bloom of energies around information, right? Fact checking, you know, censorship, and much of it connected to the media and social media. These are all Gemini themes. What's true? What's not true? This is something that, you know, a lot of people have been questioning. So healthy Gemini energy questions. It questions authority. It questions what it's reading, it questions what it's hearing, and then it takes those questions and it brings it back to self. Gemini is a researcher. You might end up doing more research than you normally do while Mars is retrograde in Gemini, and it rules all technology. It rules communication, it rules our devices, and it rules transportation. So travel plans can have, you know, more glitches than normal, more canceled flights, more potentially car issues. Mars retrograde in Gemini is a great time to take care of anything that you know has a problem already, or there's something that you know needs fixing, especially in these realms of transportation, technology, you know, your computer, your phone, your emails, your calendar, anything that's related to verbal or written communication. During a Mars retrograde in Gemini, you will likely have more access to your intuition. When we go inward, we get more connected to the ethereal realms, to our wisdom. Remember, Gemini is the winged messenger. It is that mercurial information where you don't know how you know something, you just know it. And it's also the magician archetype. The magician card in the tarot is connected to being able to take all energies, air, fire, water, and earth, and alchemize them into a new creation. It's kind of, it reminds me of like that magic wand, or like a witch casting a beautiful spell to create something. It's when we can be more in our magical powers, our witchy powers, than we normally are. So this is the time that you could have a real expansion. You could have a real, some of you, I feel, I'm getting this right now as I'm talking, some of you are really gonna get a sense of, I wanna do this other thing. I wanna do this thing, and it could be career related. It could be starting your own business. It could be something to do with your own magical self. This is why I wrote the book, The Magic of Saying Yes, that is, I'm pointing to right behind me, because when we're in that love flow, what I call the love flow in my book, that magical flow of synchronicity, of just the magic of life. It's the real magic of life. It's when you are in that flow, when you're in that flow of life, is when the magic really happens, when things do just come to you. When we say that phrase, out of the blue, this person called me, out of the blue, you know, this unexpected money came in. This is when we can really tap into this flow. This is one of the beauties of a Mars retrograde in Gemini. Now, the lower octave of Gemini energy is feeling scattered, feeling like very distracted, ADHD, attention dialed into a higher dimension, which is very beautiful. But sometimes those of us with a lot of Gemini energy, we feel like, you know, we're very good at multitasking. So you may take your multitasking skills up a notch during this time. But sometimes you can feel like you're trying to do all these things and nothing is getting done. Also, Geminis can worry too much. So if you find yourself worrying more than usual, it's a sign to come back to your body, to bring your energy back into your body, to ground your energy, to come back into the present moment. Gemini is connected to the nervous system. So again, this is a beautiful time to be present in our bodies, to do some breath work, some meditation. Just deep breathing. I invite you to take in a nice deep breath as I am right now, even just bringing our energy into our belly. Belly breathing, so helpful when your nervous system is overstimulated. Now, a Mars retrograde is a beautiful time to slow down. We get a permission slip to slow down. It's kind of like if somebody said, okay, I know you've been working really hard, you've been really focused, you've really been like the machine, you've been doing all this output, and now I want you to take a break. I want you to slow down. I want you to give yourself permission to rest. I want you to imagine that you are more of a spiritual being than a human doing, as we say. Like, this is the time to really give ourselves the time that we need to replenish our bodies, because remember, Mars is connected to the physical body. And when we are pushing ourselves and pushing ourselves, this is when the health issues can show up. In terms of our physical body, Gemini rules the shoulders, the arms, the hands, the lungs, the bronchial tubes, and the capillaries. So if you're having any issues with these areas, your shoulders, your arms, your hands, your lungs, your capillaries, then you definitely want to get it checked out and give it the attention that it deserves. Mars retrograde in Gemini is a time that we can really deepen our relationship with the divine. We can do more reflection, more reassessment, more refinement, more healing. It's a beautiful time for healing and just expecting less of ourselves. We can have more inner growth and expansion during this time. This is really a time to expand our curiosity, to satiate our curiosity, to expand our horizons, to say yes to that new vista, to take short trips. Gemini rules short trips. It rules neighbors. It's the third house in astrology. It's connected to our siblings. So some people will have more contact with siblings, maybe heal relationships with siblings, or anyone that is like a sibling to you, a soul brother or a soul sister. I can see us all expanding our tribe, bringing more soul sisters and soul brothers into our lives even. This is not the best time to launch something new. It doesn't mean you can't launch something new, but you may not have the motivation, you may not have the drive, and you may just kind of, in the flow of things, just feel like this isn't the best time for it. It's also not generally the best time for a brand new romance. It's fine if you want to start a new romance, but it may be one of those, I think we call it a fast burn, where it's just like, you know, can go up in flames quickly. That's not all romances. That is just how it may go during a Mars retrograde. Generally speaking, if you have an elective surgery that you don't have to do during a Mars retrograde, Mars is connected to knives and scalpels and those kinds of things, and it's generally better to put that off. Now, I'm not giving you any medical advice. I always encourage you to use your own intuition to consult your body, your own inner wisdom, your trusted medical professional, and of course, if there's a surgery that you need to do and that you feel is the timing is right or the timing is necessary, then absolutely, I have no doubt that there are many, many surgeries that take place during a Mars retrograde and are very successful. Now, if Mars retrograde presents you with a challenge during this period, anytime between August 2022 and March 2023, you will likely experience a deep level of soul growth from this. You will receive a gift, you will receive a treasure, and it may be one that you remember for the rest of your life that changes your life in powerful, positive ways going forward. So I want to give you an example of this, because I know when we're going through something really difficult, especially during a retrograde period, we can feel like we're the only ones going through it. We can feel like we did something wrong. We can be really hard on ourselves. And I want you to know that any challenge that happens during this time is absolutely, as difficult as it may be when you're going through it, it absolutely has a gift in it. Now, I want to preface this story by saying we all have very different experiences during a Mars retrograde. It can be something to do with your body and your health. It can be something to do with your career. It can have to do with any area of your life. And of course, in the 12 sign readings, I will be sharing which area of life, which house this is happening for you. But I also want to say that sometimes we get a wake-up call from something external that happens. Other times it's an inner impulse that causes us to make changes in our lives. And we all know that those outer wake-up calls are never easy. They're never easy, but they also bring to us profound positive life changes. So the story I'm going to share with you is one of those external wake-up calls, something that I never would have chosen. But I also want to say that I had other transits going on during that time. It wasn't just Mars retrograde. I also had Pluto opposing my natal moon, and that's a big, intense transit. I also had Saturn conjuncting my Jupiter. So this is example, the story I'm going to tell you is going to be more dramatic, most likely, than the vast majority of you will have during this time. In 2018, during the pre-shadow period, and again, the pre-shadow period is often when we get a glimpse of what we're going to be working with during the actual retrograde period. During the pre-shadow, a few weeks before Mars went retrograde, I was diagnosed with skin cancer. I was diagnosed with melanoma right here under my left eye on my birthday. I went for a facial. I gave myself the gift of a facial. I hadn't had one in years, and I'll never forget the facialist when she saw this dark spot, which I just thought was an age spot. I honestly, I never gave it a second thought. I just thought this is an age spot. This is what happens when you age. And she looked at it and she said, I'd get that checked out if I were you. And I just felt this deep knowing. It like ran through all the way down into my belly, and I just felt like, okay, this is skin cancer. I just knew it in that moment. Yeah, it pretty much ruined my birthday. But, you know, I went right away to get it checked out, and it was diagnosed as melanoma. I was very fortunate because it was melanoma in situ, meaning that it was only on the very surface of my skin, only on the very surface. And in fact, potentially I could have not had it removed and it would have been fine. It never would have grown any bigger, but of course I didn't know. And so I did have it surgically removed. Now, interestingly enough, I had a commitment that summer to be in a performance, in a live performance on stage. And it was a part that I had gotten months before, and I was so excited to be in this performance. I hadn't done anything like this in so many years. I was super excited to do it. But if I was going to have if I was going to have it removed immediately, I wouldn't have been able to be in the show. And so I asked my doctor one day in tears after I found out of the diagnosis. I said, can I wait until the end of summer, because I'm in this show and I really want to do it, and mostly I was excited to meet new people. I had like this very dull social life at the time, and I really wanted to meet other like-minded people, and I was so excited for new community in my life. And so she said yes. She agreed with me that waiting a few months, you know, it had probably taken years and years for this tiny, it was about the size of a diamond. I like thinking of that way because it helped me refine the edges of my diamond self. It's about the size of a small diamond. And she said it probably took years and years and years to grow. And yes, the chances of it, you know, expanding much more in the next 6 weeks or 8 weeks or whatever it was are very small. So if this is really important to you, then I'm going to give you the thumbs up to wait. And what was interesting about it is when I look back at the timing of it now, when I actually had the surgery about 8 weeks later, Mars had then moved out of retrograde. Technically, it's not a good idea unless you absolutely have to have a surgery done during a Mars retrograde. Well, Mars was already out of retrograde. And again, as I said earlier in the video, if you have to, I don't want this to scare you. I don't want you to feel like, oh, my surgery is not going to go well if I do it during Mars retrograde. If you feel that it's something you need to do and your doctors, your trusted medical, you know, assistants, people that are helping you are telling you, and you agree that you should get something done right away, then the divine is supporting you. The divine is always supporting us. Astrology should never be used as a tool to incite fear in anyone. It's just an intuitive tool. It is not the law or the rule of how you should run your life. Now, my surgeries went very well. I had to have several surgeries to remove it and then plastic surgery to fix it all up. But after the surgery, I put a patch on it, which was to help fade the scar, reduce the scarring. And I did that pretty soon after I had the surgery, and it caused a huge, major allergic reaction. So I ended up having complications later by putting this gel patch on my skin too early. And from that, I really learned the lesson. See, Mars rules patience. Mars is ruled by Aries, and Aries is not known for its patience. And I happen to have my natal Mars in Aries, and I just wanted to heal this thing as quickly as possible. And so had I waited and put that scar fading patch on later, I would have saved myself so many tears, so much, pain and suffering that I went through trying to heal the allergic reaction, which lasted for over a year after the surgery. Now, if you're familiar with Louise Hay, who wrote the book, You Can Heal Your Life, Louise was sort of the first person that came out, to my knowledge, and talked about how our emotions can create physical manifestations in the body, how connected our emotions and our mind is to our physical health. And what I learned during this recovery period from this diagnosis and recovering period from skin cancer is that I had repressed a lot of anger. How did I know this? My own intuition told me. I consulted different healing professionals, alternative healing professionals during my recovery too. And this is what came through for me, was that from betrayals that I had had in my life, I was storing all of this anger in my body, anger that I thought I had released, but I actually hadn't. And it's like that saying that, when we think negative thoughts about others because we feel hurt or betrayed or abandoned by them, we're the ones who end up getting the poison. We're the ones who end up drinking our own poison. And I had no idea, because I had done so many years and so many, exercises on healing, on forgiveness, on releasing. I had no idea that I was storing so much anger in my body. And I really feel that this very dark spot right here under my eye was part of me that was expressing the sadness, the anger, the hurt in its own way, and the only way that my body knew how to do. And so from there, I did so much deep forgiveness, and finally was able to put those experiences in my past. I also had to learn to accept what I could not control. I could not control that I was having this allergic reaction and that I couldn't put anything on it. Ironically, I could put nothing on it. Everything had an allergic response. So I couldn't put any moisture on it. I couldn't put anything on it for months and months and months afterward. And I had to accept that that was just the way it was. It's the serenity prayer. Give me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I paraphrase that, but that serenity prayer can be so helpful during a Mars retrograde time when things can be happening out of your control. Someone can cut you off on the freeway, or someone can, yell at you, communication, transportation, something can happen to your computer or to your phone, and you're like, oh my God, I need my device. What's wrong with my device? Help me, and that's when prayer can really come in. It's like, help me to get my needs met, my immediate needs met. But before I go into the 12 signs, I want to give you a few tips from Spirit on how to work with this energy. Number one tip is focus on the now. Be as much in this present moment as you possibly can. We're all very future focused right now. We've got the North Node in Taurus. We're wanting to build something for our future that's going to help us to feel safe and secure. And yet the magic happens in the present moment, when we're in the flow, when we're not stuck in our heads, when we're in our bodies, when we're allowing what wants to come to us to come to us. Set a daily intention. Set a daily intention for how you want to feel. When I'm working with my coaching clients, we start every session this way. We use the I am intention. I am whatever it is that you want to feel. I am brilliant. I am brave. I am confident. I am successful. Whatever you want to feel, set that intention every single day. Set your intention based on what your heart wants, and you will see a shift in how the energy moves for you. The universe has a magical language. It's the language of the flow. It's the love flow, as I call it in my book, The Magic of Saying Yes, which I will link below, by the way. Lots of great exercises in that book to help you during this time. This is the time to release striving, to give yourself a break from striving. If you don't know what to do, if you're having trouble making decisions and you need clarity, ask Spirit for clarity. Ask Spirit to help show you, perhaps through journaling, perhaps through automatic writing, show you your next step, help you to feel your heart's desires, help you to feel what your heart wants most now. Okay, so let's go into the 12 signs, and I want to share with you where this transit, this Mars retrograde in Gemini, is happening in your natal astrology chart. So for each of the 12 signs, this Mars retrograde in Gemini is wanting us to focus on how you do your life, how you create, how you approach accomplishment and achievement. Is it self-loving? Are you hard on yourself? Do you allow yourself to be in the flow, or do you push yourself until you burn out? This is the kind of reassessing, refining, observation, getting clarity on how we do our lives. Do we do them in a way that is sustainable, that is healthy, that is self-rejuvenating? Or do we need to make some changes? Do we need to course correct? And how are you working with your anger? Are you working with your anger in healthy ways? Are you releasing it? Are you allowing it to leave your body so that your body is cleansed? One of the words that came up for me when I was preparing for this video was purification. This may be an area in your life where you're purifying, but in any case, this is an area where Spirit wants you to pay attention and focus. So let's go into the 12 signs. So first, Gemini rising. Gemini risings, this is happening in your first house. Your first house rules your appearance, it rules your physical body, it rules your status in the world, your identity, any roles you play. So this could be a time when you're really assessing, do I want to stay at this job? Do I want this role? Do I want to get married? Do I want to get divorced? Do I want to have my own business? This is a lot about how do you use your energy, and this could be any capacity of your life, because the first house is the self. So this is when you're getting Mars retrograding Gemini wants you to get very clear on how do you want to spend your time, how do you want to use your energy, and how you can do it in the most self-loving, the healthiest, the most fulfilling way. Okay, Cancer rising. Cancer rising, this Mars retrograde in Gemini is happening in your 12th house. 12th house is the house of retreat. It's the subconscious mind. It is where we heal, where we rejuvenate, where we give ourselves downtime, where we connect to the ethereal realms, where we connect to spirit. It's where you can consciously deepen your relationship with the divine. So this is a time too, since Gemini is ruled by Mercury, this is the time that you could have these, you could become aware of loops that are kind of circling around in your mind, like unhealthy loops that don't feel good, just like those tapes, those stories that are ready to be released and let go of. This is a time that you could be very aware of a story that you're telling yourself, something that's disempowering or something that's empowering, it could go either way, that you want to do more of or do less of. And so this is a time that you're going through kind of a reprogramming of the mind, or this is an invitation to you, Cancer risings, and I'm Cancer rising too, to reprogram our minds with thoughts that lift us, that speak the truth about who we are as spiritual beings, that make us feel good and help us. Basically, we'll be weeding our gardens, I think, during this time. We'll be very aware of any thoughts, any actions, any behavior patterns that are not supportive of us, and weeding our gardens of those. Okay, Leo risings. Leo risings, this is happening, this transit of Mercury, of Mars retrograde in Gemini is happening in your 11th house. Your 11th house is friendships, communities, social media. It is your hopes, wishes, and dreams. It's your long-term gains. So you could be just looking at, again, what are your heart's desires in terms of your hopes, wishes, and dreams? How are you doing social media? Is that working for you? Do you want to do less of it? Do you want to do more of it? Do you want to change that up? How about friendships? How about communities? Again, this is about how are you doing your life? Where are you putting your focus in these areas? And is there any tweak that needs to be made? Is there any fine tuning that needs to be made? Maybe you want to join a new group or organization, or maybe you want to get out more. Maybe you want new friends. Maybe you want to change up your social life. This could be, any of these things could be up for you during this Mars retrograde in Gemini. Virgo risings, this transit is happening in your 10th house of career. So you could really be looking at career, life purpose, what makes you feel meaning, what brings meaning into your life, what makes you feel fulfilled. This could be retirement or legacy for those of you who are in that phase of your life. But for Virgo risings, you're probably going to have a very strong focus on career right now. You may be deciding to leave a career. You may be deciding to completely change your role or change your sense of identity during this time. So this will probably be very pivotal to you. And because it's in Gemini, it's saying let yourself explore, let yourself discover more about yourself, let yourself imagine yourself in a different role if that feels exciting to you. You Virgo risings could be doing quite a deep dive during this time. You could even decide during this time that you want to change your careers. That would be, or that you want to retire, or that you want to do something in your life that feels more aligned with your soul. Libra risings, this transit is happening in your 9th house. Your 9th house of adventure, of spirituality, spiritual beliefs, higher learning. This is where you expand your horizons, where you take a road trip. 9th house is associated with Jupiter, which is the planet of expansion. It's associated with international travel. It's where we really, it's like we fly above our lives and we see our lives from a whole new perspective. You could be leaving a religion behind, or a way of thinking, or a way of perceiving yourself in the world. You could be refining that. You could be leaving it behind. You could be suddenly losing interest or desire for something that's in any of these realms. But it's a time, beautiful Libra, that you are going to be probably exploring something new. And you could be going back to school. You could be taking on a new, wanting to get a new degree. You could be wanting to publish something. It's also the house of publishing. It's where you come out into the world with your work, or your written work, or your speaking. So it is a time that you really can, Spirit really wants you to look at, how do you do these areas of your life? How do you motivate yourself? Is it healthy? Is it self-loving? Does it fulfill you? Scorpio rising, this is happening for you in your 8th house of transformation, death and rebirth, taboos, taxes, sexuality. It's the deep diving house. So you're used to the Scorpio risings. You're already used to that deep dive. You're used to having many lives and many transformations. This will probably be a transit that takes you to a whole new place. You could have an awakening during this time. You could find yourself in the deeper depths. You could find yourself dealing with unconscious fears that suddenly become evident to you, a new truth that becomes evident to you. 8th house is a lot of different things. It's also connected with shared resources, with relationships, with investments. So in any of these areas, you are being asked to look at these different areas of your life and to know that this transit, regardless of how you experience it, is always going to be for your highest good. It's going to take you to a whole new place in your soul growth. And if you need support, Scorpio rising, get support, because this is a time that support could be really, really helpful to you. Sagittarius, Sag rising, this transit is happening in your 7th house of partnerships. So this is connected to committed partnerships, whether they are significant others such as spouses, boyfriends, girlfriends. It's the people that you spend time with that you would do anything for. It's also clients. It's wherever you have agreements, spoken or unspoken, with other people. So you're really going to be looking at Sag. You're really going to be looking at, how do I do my partnerships? Am I still motivated? Am I still in it? Do I want to be in it? Or do I have both feet in? Do I need to change the way I do it? Am I giving myself the time, focus, attention, the TLC that I need as much as I'm giving to the other? Or maybe you're giving a lot to yourself and not as much to the other, and the other person is saying, I want more from you. But this is a time when you're probably going to be looking at balance in your relationships, your committed partnerships, and does it feel balanced? And do you need to come back to balance in your relationships? Or is there another way that you want to approach your committed partnerships that would be more self-loving, more fulfilling, more just feel better to you? Capricorn rising. Capricorn risings, this transit is happening in your 6th house of health. It's happening in your 6th house of work, your everyday work, your routines, your schedules, how you structure your life. So you could be changing an exercise routine, you could be changing your diet and nutrition, you could be wanting to change your work. This is a lot about how do you use that creator energy, your drive, your mojo. If you're feeling less vital, you might change something with regard to how you take care of your body. That's very possible during this time. But also your work. And do you feel supported at work? Do you get what you need at work? All of these things could be up for you during this transit. Aquarius, beautiful Aquarians, Aquarius rising. This is happening for you in your 5th house, your 5th house of true love, romance, children, and creativity. So how do you use your creativity? Is it fulfilling? Does it light you up? Do you feel like you're allowing yourself to be the artist of your own life, whether you see yourself as an artist or not? We're all the artists of our own lives. Do you allow yourself to do things that light you up, whether they are going to take you to a certain place or not? In Gemini energy, it's all about taking care of the inner child and allowing ourselves to explore through life, to have a variety of experiences, whether or not they're going to lead to something. So this Capricorn and this Aquarius is, and you're very creative, you're a very creative sign. So this is really an invitation to you to allow yourself more play, more exploration, more joy, and to see if you can change how you feel, more authenticity, more freedom, to see if you can change kind of the flavor, if it needs changing for you. For some of you, it may not, but for some of you, this could be a transit where you really have a realization, an aha moment, the light bulb goes off and says, oh yeah, I need to change the way I approach my creativity or my whatever it is you create, whether you're a writer, whether you draw, whether you paint, whether you, how you express. You could express through the way you wear certain clothing. It doesn't have to be an art as we see art, but however you express, is it fulfilling? Does it give you that sense of, I am my free, authentic self and I express myself in the world? Does it give you that? If not, you're probably going to be refining that during this transit. Pisces rising, beautiful Pisces rising. This transit's happening in your 4th house of home, of the inner self, and of family. This also takes us back to our roots, the root chakra, our childhood roots. So, and our childhood conditioning. So with Mars here, retrograde, you could be dealing with memories of a father figure or a male figure in your life, and any kind of cleansing or clearing out of those energies that you want to do. You could be working through anything to do, like I said, of home, family, or anything else. You could be moving. Some of you may be moving or considering a move during Mars retrograde. Mars is also connected to moves, and in your 4th house of home, it's very likely that at least you're asking the question, am I happy where I live? Do I want to stay here? Do I want to make a change? Where do I want to make changes in my life? How can I make my home life, my family life feel more fulfilling? How can I approach it in a way that really takes care of me? Aries rising, this transit is happening in your 3rd house, this is the house that's ruled by Gemini. Gemini is associated with the third house. So this is your immediate environment. It's your neighbors, it's your neighborhood, it's your siblings, it's soul sisters and soul brothers, it's communication, all forms of communication. So Aries risings, you're really going to be steeped in this Gemini energy during this time for a whole 7 months. So you're going to be looking probably at how you communicate with others. You're going to be looking at, if you have siblings, those relationships. Are you happy in your local environment? Do you like where you live? You could have stuff come up with neighbors possibly, but it's all about how you're using your energy. And are you using it in a satisfying way? Is there anything that you need to refine? Are there any edges that you are polishing of your own inner diamond during this time? These are the themes that will likely come up for you. And Taurus rising, beautiful Taurians. This is happening in your second house. Now, second house is already your house. It's associated with your sign. And this is income, any income that you're bringing in from work, from your efforts, including passive income. It is also your self-esteem, your self-worth, and your sense of what you deserve. The material comforts, the possessions that make you feel safe and secure, Taurus. So these are some of the themes that will probably be coming up for you during this Mars retrograde in Gemini. And you may be asking yourself, am I making enough money? Am I happy with however I'm bringing in income? Do I want to change the way I bring in income? Do I deserve more? Am I under earning? Do I need more time for myself? Do I want to spend as much time working as I do? All of these different things could come up for you. The 8th house is across from the 2nd house, and that is a transformational house. So some of you may be going through a transformation during this time. Some of you may have something in the realm of the physical body come up. Whatever it is that spirit can give you to help you to increase your own sense of self-love, self-worth, and what you deserve in life is what you'll most likely be working with during this time, Taurus. Okay, my beautiful friend, thank you so much for your time, energy, and presence. I so appreciate you being here with me during this Mars retrograde in Gemini. It's 7 whole months. If you need support during this time, know that I offer Soul Alchemy Coaching, which is a deep dive transformational support for you, someone to be your believing mirror, your creative champion, your confidant, to help hold you accountable. If that's something that would be helpful to you, go to my website, check out my coaching offerings. And if you would like an astrology reading, a personal astrology consultation where we can look at what other transits are happening right now in your personal, how are they affecting you with your personal astrology? The upcoming transits, the future transits, how can they empower you for whatever it is that you most want in your life right now? And what does your natal chart say about you? Even if you've had your natal chart done by other astrologers before, if you'd like a whole new perspective on your natal chart, on your gifts, your talents, your life purpose, what is supporting you to create your heart's desire in this next chapter of your life, go to my website and check out my astrology consultations. I'll leave the links below to my website. And I have a free gift for you, and that free gift is a guided meditation, returning home to yourself, returning home to your heart. Will definitely help you during this Mars retrograde period when a lot of our nervous systems will be amplified. So go to my website. You can instantly download the meditation by subscribing to my inspirational updates. My inspirational updates will come to your inbox. It's the astrology of the weeks meant to empower you. And you will then receive an instant download of the guided meditation, Reconnecting with Your Spirit. So until my next video, my beautiful friend, I am sending you all my love.